Having grown up on a tobacco farm in North Carolina, Judith Phillips Stanton, class of '68, was initially drawn to Randolph-Macon Women's College for the opportunity it offered her.
I didn't really know what I had gotten into. I didn't know what a good school it would be because I didn't know what made a good school. It was interesting to me coming in as a farm girl, basically. It was interesting to me how well everybody accepted me and nobody cared about that. I mean, I had friends and roommates and colleagues and I was accepted. That was really important. And of course the professors accepted me. I don't know if they knew my background or cared or needed to know. I don't know who knew, but it meant the world to me that it was such an accepting environment.
At Randolph-Macon Women's College, Stanton found herself exploring interests that drew her away from her intended major in French, and it was with the help of her professor, Dr. Edwin St. Vincent, that she began to explore depths of English literature that would ultimately guide her on a 26-year journey.
I was such a reader to begin with, and I knew I loved fiction, but he opened up the world of fiction from the earliest novels all the way through into the 20th century. I know I had 2 semesters worth of the English novel with him. One of the interesting things that he did, he says, now I need to warn you how hard it is to get through this course because you'll be reading one big fat novel a week. You can't wait until the last minute to read that novel. You have to read it a chapter or 2 every chance you get so that you do several chapters a day or you won't finish them. I finished everything. I took other courses in the American novel, but I guess in the same way that I wanted to get out of North Carolina, so I ended up in Virginia. I wanted to get out of America, so I ended up in Britain. And it just suited my imagination to travel in stories.
Her English professors encouraged her to go on to graduate school, which led her to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, where she earned her Ph.D. Stanton then went on to teach for 4 years in Wisconsin before moving on to Clemson University. She was a leader in establishing minor curricula in gender studies and technical and scientific writing, but it was an introduction that took place at RMWC that ultimately led her to her greatest life accomplishment.
I was first introduced to Charlotte Smith in a class at Randolph-Macon with Dr. St. Vincent at the English novel class, and she was mentioned in our history of the novel as the best unrecognized author of her time. So when I had a chance to write about someone in a seminar in graduate school, I picked her because I knew she was going to be the best. And I never deviated from that. I did a dissertation on her, and at the end of my dissertation orals, they asked me, so what are you going to do next? And I said, well, a biography of Charlotte Smith is needed, but you couldn't do a biography of her until you get your hands on all the letters. So I'm going to start by collecting the letters. Little did I know, 25 years and 400 letters later, they would finally get published. But it was a wonderful, wonderful journey. As I like to say, poor me, for doing all my research, I had to go to England about a dozen times. That was suffering of the highest order. But I became just deeply embedded in her life, and it influenced mine as it inevitably would have to.
It was through her dedicated work that Stanton was able to resurrect the work and life of Charlotte Smith, bringing new life to a forgotten voice in English literature.
The letters revealed the life of a woman novelist and poet who had influenced major romantic authors, but was not recognized as one and was not being taught. She was not what they call canonized. Canonized means they show up in anthologies and they're taught in all the basic courses. She was not. So the whole feminist scholarly project resurrected her, and only one person needed to do the letters, and there's only one version of the letters. But the letters are the foundation or underpinnings for all kinds of now even more legitimate scholarship on her, on analyses of her novels. A couple of biographies have been done. She's in anthologies now, and all of her books are in print. Many of them have been produced in paperback textbook form so that she can be taught in classes.
In addition to her work on the Smith letters, Stanton's own writing has flourished, having published 4 historical romance novels, each one inspired by the stories and characters she had encountered during her research. She has also authored a contemporary equestrian suspense novel and even published her first book of poetry. Now retired, Stanton continues to teach creative writing courses for fun, sharing her knowledge and expertise with aspiring writers. Her legacy lives on in the countless readers and scholars who have been inspired by her work on Charlotte Smith, a poet and novelist who might have been forgotten were it not for Stanton's dedication and hard work and the inspiration she received from RMWC.
It means a great deal because the college was my springboard, in socially and intellectually and academically, and so I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity.